We are back, Mortal Kombat fans, with another Mortal Kombat lore Q&A video. We are on episode 7 of this series, and since Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath is now here, I decided to do a special edition episode for this series, which is an Aftermath edition. So, what's going to happen in this video is answering questions related to all things exclusively about Aftermath story. I went on the community tab on this YouTube channel and asked you all to send in your Aftermath related questions for this video, and I got over 500 of you guys who participated, so thank you all so much for your support. If you guys would like to see this series continue, make sure you drop a big thumbs up on this video, as it really does help out my channel. And also, if you guys have a Mortal Kombat story or lore related question, make sure just to leave it in the comments of this video. Maybe I'll do an Aftermath edition part 2 or 3. One way to find out is to keep sending in those questions. Also, spoiler warning for those who haven't seen Aftermath. Alright, so let's get started. So, the first question we have here comes to us from Alberto Fizz, who asks, is the Krypt canon? The guy appeared at the Shaolin Temple. Thank you for the question, Alberto, and yes, during Aftermath's story, we saw a tiny little Easter egg in Nightwolf's chapter, where him and Shang Tsung came into the Shaolin Trap dungeon, and when Shang Tsung triggered one of these Shaolin traps so they can proceed, you then see that the Krypt guy, unfortunately, has died from the Shaolin traps. Press F to pay respects. So then, it comes back to your question, which I've seen many people have. Does this actually make the Krypt canon? Because as you all know, the dead person we saw at the Shaolin Trap dungeon is the person we play as in the Krypt for the game. And in the Krypt, there are certain events, if you were to say, that are kind of significant, like seeing Kenchi's corpse, so implying that he's dead, and Ermac being dead, and a lot of people question whether or not these events were canon. And now that the Krypt guy seems to be in the story mode, does that make the Krypt canon? Well, according to the writer Dominic Cianciolo, the Krypt is not canon. So Kenshi dying at Shang Tsung's island didn't happen. Ermac being dead because he fell down the pit isn't canon. And this was revealed to us months ago. The Krypt and its events are just small little fun, cute little Easter eggs for MK fans to say, oh hey, I know where that's coming from, or hey, I know that, and stuff like that. Now, there may be things in there that may be canon, like certain relics you find have backstory, or the fact that the entire island has gone to shit. Those kinds of things are canon. However, what I'd like to believe is that the Krypt guy, or the descendant of Apep, which is who he is, actually is a traveler in the Mortal Kombat world, where he's just snooping around and stealing some things that he may find, and eventually he made his way to the Shaolin Trap dungeon, maybe to steal some things from the Shaolin Temple, and then boom, he got caught by one of the traps there and died. I think that's what his story is, but other than that, no, the Krypt isn't canon. The descendant of Apep isn't really all that important, but it looks like he himself is canon. If not, meh. Just another Easter egg for us MK fans. The next question we have comes from Killzy, who asks a really good question. MKX explained that Quan Chi was the only way to turn revenants back to their human selves. But then, MK11 Aftermath showed us that the Soul Chamber can do the same thing. It doesn't seem like Shang Tsung is the only one who knew the Soul Chamber can restore the revenants, since Past Jade knew where Shang Tsung and the gang were headed to restore Sindel without them mentioning it. Is the Quan Chi thing a retcon? Thank you for the really good question, Killzy. This one actually made me think. You are 100% right that in the events of MKX, when the Special Forces captured Quan Chi, they did this so they could forcefully use him to restore the revenants back to life. And Sonya and MKX did indeed say without Quan Chi, they couldn't restore the revenants. But in MK11 Aftermath, clearly Shang Tsung, Fujin, and Nightwolf didn't need Quan Chi when they wanted to restore Sindel from her revenant self, because they used the Soul Chamber to do it. But here's the thing you are forgetting. It wasn't just the souls in the Soul Chamber that they used to restore her. It was also Jinsei that they used from the Wuxi Dragon Grotto. So they had to use Jinsei and the souls from the Soul Chamber to restore Revenant Sindel. Now, you may ask, well, why didn't they do that in MKX? Why didn't they use the Jinsei in the Soul Chamber then? Well, look, here's a simple way to put it. if you have someone who can use magic and in a blink of an eye they can restore someone in a faster process, in MK11, clearly it took a while for the process to happen, and that being the case, they obviously weren't going to line up the revenants in a single file line in MKX, put them in the soul chamber, and then say, alright, you're done, next, and such. But on the other hand, Quan Chi has the power alone to do that without anything else besides his magic. So for the situation that characters were in during MKX, yes, it was the only way they could do it, but obviously there are other more advanced ways to do it. So it's like being in a situation where you need to fix something and you need a screwdriver. Do you use the screwdriver that you have in your possession right now, or do you build one from scratch to solve your problem and give you the screwdriver? Obviously, you'd use the screwdriver that you already have. So, no, it's not a retcon. It's just what they had in their situation was their only way. But thank you for the good question. I really appreciate it. The next question we have comes from Supreme Undead, who asks, when Shao Kahn broke Liu Kang's legs, why weren't the Fire God Liu Kang's legs broken? Thank you for the question, Supreme. And you know, I've seen this question a lot, and it seems like some people are confused about this. Just a small reminder, there was a scene where Revenant Liu Kang and Raiden were about to fight, but then suddenly his legs broke. And this was because the past version of himself was getting his legs smashed by Shao Kahn. But Fire God Liu Kang, who is a future version of the Liu Kang who's getting his legs smashed, isn't affected at all. I've seen some people come up with different solutions, like it's like Avengers Endgame where they go back in time. When they change the past, it doesn't affect the future, it sort of creates a new timeline. Or I've seen it's not the same Liu Kang, it doesn't affect him, or it's a different timeline past, not the same one. Look, time travel is such a brain-hurting story element. I know a lot of you guys right now, just from saying those sentences, are having your brains hurt. Please, let's not ever do this with MK ever again. So, despite all this mess of confusion, there is an answer here, and that's actually, thankfully, pretty simple. So, remember guys, Fire God Liu Kang is a god at the end of the day, and if you guys remember, in the base Mortal Kombat 11 story, when the time merger happened, Raiden actually explained that as a god, he exists outside the laws of time, and he is affected differently.
Yeah, about that. What happened to Dark You? How come you're an only child and I got an evil twin?
As an immortal, I exist outside the normal laws of time. That could explain why I am affected differently.
So again, Liu Kang, at the end of the day, is a god. So Fire God Liu Kang shouldn't be affected by whatever happened in his past. That's being changed on the fly. So again, pretty simple. I know it may have been confusing since the time travel laws and such is a giant mess, but all you gotta do is remember that Fire God Liu Kang is a god, which means that he now exists outside the laws of time. Our fourth question comes to us from Caleb Boyce, who asks, how did Liu Kang manipulate the hourglass without the crown? Thank you for the question, Boyce. I have seen this question countless times on Twitter, in my YouTube comments, and again, here on the community tab. So yes, in the beginning of the story, when Fire God Liu Kang is attempting to restart history or create his own new era, the hourglass is cracking and not responding well to him, and this is because he does not have Kronika's crown with him. So without the crown, he cannot restart history. But he has the ability to use the hourglass to send Shang Tsung, Fujin, and Nightwolf into the past. This one is a little bit more self-explanatory, but still, I'll explain it for you. It's most likely the case that it takes less power from the hourglass to send someone into events that have already happened, a timeline that already exists, a timeline that is all set and done, rather than creating an entirely new timeline, which again, cannot be used without the crown. And that's pretty much all there is to it. You can still use the hourglass for different purposes like seeing into the future, looking into the past, bringing someone from a certain time, but creating an entirely new reality, an entirely new timeline, is where the crown needs to come in. So I hope that's a simple enough answer for you. I know the time travel thing is just very messy. Again, let's not do this with Mortal Kombat again. Alright, the last question is going to have more of an opinion-based answer, and the question comes to us from Jermaine Watson, who asks, Which ending do you think is canon and why? Thank you for the question, and yes, this might be the most common question asked about Aftermath. Which ending is canon? So let me briefly remind you about what happens in both endings. If you want to watch my full ending explained video, you can go ahead and click here on the YouTube cards. But here's the short version. In Liu Kang's ending, he creates a timeline where he goes to the Great Kung Lao era and chooses the Great Kung Lao as his champion and to train him for the Mortal Kombat tournament of his time. The good guy ending. In Shang Tsung's ending, he kills Fire God Liu Kang and becomes the lone titan, and I assume the lone elder god of the universe, and has Dark Raiden and Fujin as his perpetrators to conquer all the realms to be under his influence. The bad guy ending. To me, I think without a doubt, Liu Kang's ending is canon. Most Mortal Kombat fans have come to the conclusion when we finish the base story that, hey, this timeline is gone now. They're going to start a new one. So that probably means the next MK game is going to be a reboot of some kind. And then we got Aftermath, and when you pick Liu Kang's ending, the spirit within that ending is a reboot of Mortal Kombat. A reboot was always going to happen, but Aftermath gives us a sneak peek as to what the reboot may look like. Also, this is the end of this NetherRealm era of storytelling. This is the end of the NetherRealm trilogy of games. So I think it's kind of obvious that the ending of this trilogy is going to consist of Liu Kang winning and end on truly defining Liu Kang as the Chosen One. I've already said that I actually do want to see what they will do with Shang Tsung's ending as a what-if scenario. Like, I want to see a story expansion that follows those events, but it's not canon. Again, it's a what-if scenario. So we will see if we get that. Clearly, NetherRealm put a lot more effort into Liu Kang's ending than Shang Tsung's ending, so right there I feel is an obvious indication that Liu's Aftermath ending is canon. But that is all the questions we have for today. Thank you all so much for the tremendous support on my Aftermath videos. They have all been killers, and just leaves me to be very thankful to each and every one of you. If you enjoyed, make sure you leave a like on the video and subscribe for all things Mortal Kombat. Anyways, I will see you all very soon.